What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to 8 Cubes, the show where we talk about the 8 most important things in Marvel Snap. I'm KMBest, he's Lambie Series, and I wish it was 6 Cubes today because we have to talk about Sinister Six. We just had a card come out, Scorpion Brand New Day, that I think a lot of people thought was going to be a pretty mediocre 6 drop that ended up being, at least a deck people play. Sinister Six might have more hoops to jump over than that. It's a 6/12, great branding here, 6/12, amazing job with the Sinister Six, that turns the first 6 cards you draw evil. When you play all 6 of them, they merge with the 12 power Sinister Six on the location the last one was played at. So it seems like a way of getting, effectively, there are 2 ways to look at this. One is it puts all your power in one lane, which is bad. The other is that it's getting you a free 12 power, which is good. How do you think about this card, Lambie?
So this card just screams overcommitment to me. Okay, so what this does is that it merges the first 6 cards that you draw, right? You have no control over that. It's just the first 6 cards
Correct.
that you draw into an omega huge thing on one side on one location, which probably will win you a location if you pull it off because it's huge. But at the same time, you are basically just exhausting 6 cards and combining into one on one location. And I mean, this is Marvel Snap. It's not about one location, right? It's about winning 2. So this card just screams over investment. And I don't know how you can build a deck around this. Because I feel like playing this card, you kind of have to build around it, But I'm not too sure what effectively works for a card like this.
I think that there are a couple things that come to mind. The first is, how do I get to another location? I would like to play Arnim Zola. I'd like to play Taskmaster. But then you think, oh, wait, that doesn't work. Because if one of them is drawn, I'm dead.
Evil,
how do I do that? So the other thing is, what if I played skills? Because it marks characters and not skills. So what if I played Fastball Special Adamantium Infusion? That's at least something. I can get it across 2 locations that way. I have to pull it off on turn 5, but that's at least something. Second thing with this card is I think that my head is like, I could play this in Destroy Thanos, right? But then you run into, what if you draw Thanos? Outside of drawing Thanos, I'd be super into playing Destroy Thanos. But then, okay, I'm playing Destroy Thanos. I'm playing Dormammu? What if I draw Dormammu? Right? Like, this is a card where it's like, maybe, like, my big thing with this card is largely 6 drops are not very good. So if there's a 6 drop that I'd be willing to play even when I don't pull it off, that would be worth talking about. Is this card big enough that I can just be happy about putting it in my deck and then sometimes free rolling it? And I think the answer is no, but I also think it's not actually that far off. Or like if this card said 15 on it, I'd probably just play that in some decks that could sometimes get it for free. Yeah. But I don't know.
The current most interesting thing about this card is, as we were talking about this, I was just scrolling through the variants, and the variants are actually really nice. There's a lot of very nice potential variants for this card, and that's like the nicest thing about it so far. But
yeah, I don't. Here's the thing: I don't know if it's hard for me to call this a mistake because it's pretty clear what they set out to do here was make a cool, evocative villain team up card, and they have done that. But it is difficult for me to believe that at its current stat line, I will want to be doing this. And I'm it is the kind of thing where it's like, if someone can figure something out, maybe this is just awesome. But I don't know what that thing is, and I don't know how reliably it's going to be pulling off Sinister Six so much as free rolling Sinister Six. And I think that is notable to how this works. I am going to be interested to see how it develops, but right now I would not consider myself super optimistic for the 6. That said, a 6 drop that I think a lot of people were a little bit low on, Scorpion Brand New Day just dropped, and he's been, I think, generally, I'd consider him a success. I think that a card like this ranges from Living Tribunal to better than Living Tribunal, right? The sort of floor on being a combo deck that people actually play is Living Tribunal, it's Man Spider, it's that kind of thing where it's like, yes, you are predictable, but the power is there. And I do think that the power is there for Scorpion Brand New Day, a 6/8 that doubles ongoings, or that doubles afflicts with his ongoing, I should say. The big things you run into are that his cost is a little prohibitive, which requires either you energy cheat or you play magic if you want to copy him. Copying him is obviously really strong to do, but it's not like, oh my god, I instantly win because of the hoops you have to jump through to get to the part where you copy him. This is a card that if you're going to copy it, you do it with Prodigy, you do it with an Onslaught, you do it with a Mystique, you do it with the Ancient Ones, Tau Mandala. All of those require you to play him on the board first. And so he's also seeing play outside of the combo context in mid-rangey things where he's basically doing an Aurora impression, where you're just like playing Laufey and Man-Thing, and then he's a 6/8 that just like buffs your other lanes because he's making those be more impactful cards. So what I see is a card that can do two things, and if we ever figure out a way that it can do those two things in the same deck, I feel like that's a really threatening card, but I don't think we're there yet for him.
I mean, honestly, the thing about this card is, okay, so firstly, I want to say that I like this card. Like, it's a boss monster for afflict strategies, right? Like, and I think the impact of this card, the fact that your opponent knows that this card can come down and just like double everything, or your afflict damage and all that kind of stuff, is a big deal. Like, it itself existing could make your opponent retreat, right? Like in the context of like the deck being played. But I do also agree that like it doesn't feel enough, you know? It doesn't feel like it's actually enough of like reduction of an increase in like afflict to make it like a mainstay like tier 1 strategy. But yeah, no, I just really want to say that I think I do like the card a lot.
It's really close is the thing. Like, this is the full combo versions are good, but they're also magic decks, so they're kind of capped on how good they can be, right? And
Yes.
the setup for the full combo is pretty easily disrupted by things like Cosmo and Juggernaut, which are pretty commonly played. I don't mean to talk down on the deck, because I think that there is something to be said for an archetype like this, but I think there's a persistent confusion in Marvel Snap between power and meta relevance that happens a lot in card evaluation that I really want to talk about. And Scorpion's a good example of this, but I think a better example would be sometimes when I talk to people who don't really play a lot of this game, what you'll hear is something that might surprise you, which is, isn't Long Panther Zola overpowered? And I think a lot of competitive players would hear that and be like, genuinely, what are you talking about? Just interact with them or leave or whatever, right? And I think that Scorpion is a card that people are evaluating super highly because they are understanding what it does. Like how can a card like this be not good if it's so strong as to make its own archetype be the kind of thing that you have to leave to? If it can make me leave games, if it can beat my entire deck's output, how could it possibly be a bad card? And the answer is that it doesn't do that reliably enough. And that in order for it to be a better deck, it needs to be doing that reliably, consistently, and in ways that are not easily disrupted. And Man Spider is a great example. I'm pretty sure Man Spider had like a 45% win rate for months, but consistently, not just normal players, like really good players were like, we have to play Man Spider right now. I'm so scared of Man Spider right now. It's finally going to be a good deck. It potential manned its way through everything. I was one of those players who was like, this is going to be good at some point. It never really got there, but that's because you can see the potential. You can see how strong it can be. And fundamentally, what happens is you are going to win a lot of games. But once people get used to how you play and what they have to do to throw a wrench in the works, you start falling apart and your cube equity starts disappearing. We've been playing against Mr. Negative for 4 years. Everyone knows what that means, and nobody's staying anymore. Once Scorpion hits even a little bit more level of familiarity for the wider populace, I kind of expect a similar thing. Nobody is staying against the person who has an active magic, has played an Iron Man and a Living Tribunal, and is about to play an Onslaught. They're not staying in those games, but they're staying in the equivalent against Scorpion right now. They're staying in those because they're not used to it. And that makes the card feel stronger than it is because you see its maximal output, where against any other comparable combo deck, you leave and you never see their maximal output. And I think that that is the big thing that when I look at like Reddit and other spaces for talking about how good Scorpion is, it's a lot of talking about how good he is when he works and not enough talking about that it's not always going to work. And I think that this conflation of power makes it difficult to evaluate cards because people evaluate cards in the context of, is this winning me the game? This dude wins games. But also, if he wasn't doing that, he just wouldn't be a card. You only make a card that costs 6 if it's going to win games. That's the floor. And people are looking at it like it's the ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that last statement sums it up really nicely, right? Like, you only make a card that costs 6 if it's actually something that wins you games, right? Like, you put it in your deck to win games, right? So the thing about this card is that like you said, it's just that people are not used to the whole like, I play this on the final turn, everything gets like mega afflicted, and then I die. But like, you just need to see it like a bit more.
Yep.
Then you just realize that like, I die for sure.
Yep.
It's the same thing, right? Like the whole Onslaught Tribunal thing. Like you see it once and you're just like, all right, this is Omega, infinite amount of power. I'm never beating that. I should never stay. Right. So like now people are not feeling the same way yet about this Scorpion card.
If
So
your opponent
I think
played Luna Snow into Sarah, got an Ancient One down, and then played a Scorpion, you know what's happening on that final turn of the game, and you are not staying unless you beat it.
Like a Giga Scorpion and then like die.
You know what's going on there. You know what's happening is they're going to make 3 Scorpions. So either you disrupt that lane with a Cosmo or a Juggernaut, or you play a Luke Cage, or you leave, right? But right now, there's just a lot of staying. There's just still a lot of staying, and I think that's giving people an impression that this card is dramatically stronger than it is. Because, yeah, it's a combo deck. When they combo you, they should win. That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work. If they weren't winning when they comboed, no one would play the deck.
Exactly.
This should be a much faster segment here. Spider Sense, 5 cost, reduced by 1 for every card that moves, or that you play with movable. Aunt May Spider Sense decks have just hit Marvel Snap with a thud. It has been a resounding sense of, wow, this is deeply mediocre. Spider Sense, I'll say it. I know you might expect me to say Spider Sense should cost 4. I'm going to go further. Spider Sense should cost 3. This is the safest thing. Like, this archetype is so mid that it is just incredibly safe to help them. It is incredibly safe to give them free 6 power. It's 6 power. Think about how much free power all these other archetypes get. The movable archetype is so far off that it could get a free 6 power. This card could cost 0.
And still be mid.
Yeah, this card could cost 0 and not be played if you had to run. Like, if it was just like, you have to have 6 movable cards in this deck, this card costs 0. It could still be mid. Like, it could actually still be mid. And it is very far off that right now. Help. Second Dinner, help them. Help.
Yeah, no, this card. Okay, so firstly, when I first saw the card Spider Sense, right, this was not my idea of what Spider Sense would be like in terms of flavor. Like, it's not meant to buff. Okay, like guys, like what Spider Sense supposed to be? It's supposed to be more Daredevil-ish of an effect.
Yeah,
right?
it's Daredevil.
It's Daredevil effect, right? Like, it gives you future sight, but like this one is like now this card just gives you a pretty bad buff.
Yep.
And like, it's just not it. Like, we could just totally rework this card, right? Like, just make it a bit more Daredevil-ish, and it's so much more to flavor as well.
I don't know about the flavor. Far be it for me to be like Captain Flavor, because there's all sorts of designs in Marvel Snap that are like, perfect flavor and then really bad flavor. But I just think this card needs to be stronger. Like, if you want to help Aunt May, make her say +3 and make this card cheaper. And then I will actually play these cards. As is, I just can't see a reason to do any of that stuff instead of playing Batroc, right? And, maybe that's the problem. We'll get to Batroc later. Maybe they need to look at that guy, but...
No, but let me pitch this again. Like,
shoot.
Come on, we could just make this a skill Daredevil.
No,
like,
that
just
sounds horrible.
No, it's a skill devil. Like, maybe make it cost like 1 or something.
Well, you want it to cost 1 and then do what? Next turn, you get the Daredevil effect?
Yeah, you get to see.
That's so busted. Isn't that just the greatest turn 6 card of all time? You play it on 5 every game?
Okay, no, not 1. You're right. 1 is crazy. One is wrong. One is wrong.
Super
Conditions
crazy.
to make it cheaper. Yes. No.
Mother Ascani's nerf was dramatically more impactful than I think it's been given credit for. The combination of the OTA last Thursday to nerf Mother Ascani and Scorpion Brand New Day's release has meant that this metagame is genuinely kind of the Wild West. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is happening. I feel like you can kind of play anything and do well right now. I've been playing Doom 2099 with Hulkling and Legion in it, doing pretty well, just doing stuff at this point, because the power level of the metagame without Mother Ascani doing what she does is dramatically lower. And I think this really goes to my point of all copiers in Marvel Snap carry pretty extreme risks, where as soon as one of them is a little bit too good, it becomes a lot too good very quickly. And Mother Ascani Mother Ascani wasn't nerfed all that badly per se, in the sense that like the actual change to her, like, yeah, it took, an energy cheat out of her. It took 2 power out of her. But what it really did was move her below the line of this is a copier that is too strong. And I think when a copier is too strong, it is a bigger risk than basically any other kind of card being too strong. When a copier is too good, that is a huge problem. People look at Star-Lord. What was so good about Star-Lord? It was that I was Arnim Zolaing it. It was that I was Grandmastering it. It was that I was Absorbing Manning it. What is so good about Sholau? It is that I was putting it onto a Maverick and doubling the effect. It is that I was putting it onto a Scarlet Spider and doubling the effect. When things like that are problems, but when things like that are problems, it is because they are being doubled. That is the thing that makes them problematic. And when those cards are too strong, and Mother Ascani is basically like if all of those problems were on one card. I cannot stress enough just how much the removal of that card from Marvel Snap writ large has dropped the power ceiling of this game, made it much less annoying to play against. And like, I think I said a month ago that it was like, this is the best meta we've had all year. Now this is the best meta we've had all year because, the progression of linear time. But it's kind of unbelievable the degree to which removing Mother Ascani dropped the power level of this metagame. It's astonishing.
Yeah, I think the thing about removing something like that is that it just like opens the floodgates to every other possible deck in the game, right? Like basically anything that was like power. What's the right word to use here? Not power gap, but like, I guess
stats mogged. Like it was just like
stat-
anything that got stats mogged by Carter or blown up by Gambit, basically.
yeah, everything that got stats mocked just like is playable again. And then I guess that's a good way of introducing new fun into the game, right? Like you don't actually have to strictly like make new tier 1 decks. You just make the queen less of a queen, and she's clearly less of a queen right now. And then like we see so many decks in the game right now. Like I think everything is playable. Everything is a stretch, but like everything that was like okay.
I've been losing to Destroy, dude. Like I've lost games to Destroy.
Like, it's been a while since we talked about Destroy in such a positive light, but yeah, sure.
But like, no, it's just one of those things where it's like, when the power level of Marvel Snap is low, by definition, more things are viable. Because more things can reach the bar.
Mm-hmm.
When the bar is set where it was with Captain Carter, your bar is interact or die. When it's on Gambit, it's you can't do anything that would interact or you'll die, right? Like those two were pinching the metagame pretty hard. And we've had a lot of metagames like that this year. Like Marvel Snap has been bad about this year. Between Star-Lord and Sholau and Gambit and Carter, it's been a lot of, wow, that's way too many points to do anything about it. And also they're dodging interaction fairly well. Way, way, way too strong. And I think that their goal should be for things to be like they are now. Their goals should and maybe basically here's my thesis. Okay. Here's the thesis. Nerf everything until you have to nerf Batroc and then nerf Batroc. That's my thesis.
No.
Nerf everything until Batroc is too good and then also nerf Batroc. That's where I'm at.
I feel like there's a very big difference between nerfing a problem. Okay, maybe you're like semi not
I'm a little
serious,
joking,
but I mean, there's a very big difference between nerfing one problematic card and then like reducing the power level of the entire game.
I think they should reduce the power level of the entire game. I fundamentally believe that combo decks are cool, but Marvel Snap is at its best when your position matters. Where you play stuff 100%. Matters. That's what I fundamentally believe.
And like proper placement of stats, winning by just a little bit of margins. Yeah, that's my favorite kind of Marvel Snap as well. But like, I think that's something that's achievable without like completely nuking the ceiling that we have right now. Because the thing is that's a good thing to mention. Right? I think Marvel Snap is, in terms of like in being intuitive and like having agency, being able to control positioning and like combat math or whatever you want to call it is something that's really important, right? Like being able to win by just like small margins because you calculated it correctly. I think it's makes the game a bit more like high skill as well. But of course, you take the fun a bit of the fun away from the game because like some people just want to play like big stuff and go boom, right? So I mean, Marvel Snap has that going for it right now, But like if we nerf everything and it becomes a bit more too high skill cap, is that the right word to use?
I get what you're saying. I do think that things going boom is cool. I just don't think things should go boom by like 40,000 or whatever unless you're playing Magic, right? Like that's sort of where my head is at, right? Like the fact that Captain Carter combo was doing like 150 points a game without a Magic, it's just like, okay, we can't have that. I'm sorry. Like that's too many. I don't know what the right number is. I don't know if it's 80 points a game. I haven't put a lot of thought into numbers per game. But I know that I would play games of Captain Carter combo where lane 1 is 50 something, lane 2 is 100 something, and it's like, you can't win either of those. All right, so just interact with me or you die, and that is not fun. And it doesn't matter what those lanes are, or where those lanes go, or what anyone was doing in those lanes, other than do you have the specific card that beats this? So I guess we'll talk about Batroc, who I do think that Batroc is a beneficiary of two things. The first is that it's easier for a Batroc deck to be a home for cards like Juggernaut and Cosmo than it is for a Victoria hand deck, because a Victoria hand deck is very bad, actually. Like, they can afford maybe one, but it can't afford a lot of cards you play on turn 6. Just not really a thing they're able to do because of how they want to target their hand and do things like Moon Girl and Ascani. So when you have a Juggernaut in hand, it's kind of ass for you a lot of the time. You don't really need two of those, and you end up with Batroc benefiting from that. And those cards are particularly good against Scorpion. So you're able to have a deck that is able to disrupt the Scorpion combos pretty readily, and that is protecting it, where the sort of V-hand decks that would normally beat this deck, thanks to Gambit, are A, worse, and B, don't actually have outs to the Scorpion stuff, because V-hand fills the board up, so the Luke Cage that you would think would be good there simply is not after the change to Luke Cage. You just end up losing anyway. And so you have a deck that would, in theory, be good against Batroc that kind of can't exist because of the volume of Scorpion people are playing. And that is really notable here, which leaves Batroc as the default mid-range deck. It's just that good. I don't even know, like, we could call it Silky Smooth, but Silk is like, it's not what it is, really, right? Yeah, like, no, Silk is the worst card in the core, right? She's just there because you have to.
7 cards, actually, if I'm not wrong.
It's a core 6, right? It's Batroc. It's Batroc, Sam, Craven, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Silk, and Hydra Stomper.
Yeah.
Those are the 6 for sure the worst one. Yeah, Silk is just like the worst one by a mile, but you have to run her because you just don't have a second.
She's the surfer in the other deck. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? She's like the surfer in the other deck.
Yeah. She's like Surfer and Carter combo, where it's like, I guess, dog. Like, I guess that's here. But yeah, that deck is really strong. The finals of the tournament that just happened was Butt versus Derek. It was a 10-card mirror because Butt changed 2 cards, but it was functionally just a Batroc mirror. I think 3 of the top 4 were Batroc decks. And there were some things in the ban list that helped that out, but I think reasonably Batroc's probably the best deck in the game. Batroc, Multiple Man, like, those are the decks that are coalescing. And at what point, like, this is what I mean when I say, nerf everything until Batroc's good and then nerf Batroc. Because Batroc is, like, very far and away the best small package for points. Those 6 cards are better than anything else at what they do. And the only thing I think that really holds them back is that somehow Marvel Snap has lucked into a position where the best small package for points has a specific tech card that beats it called Mercury. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, I just don't know if this would be tenable. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, this package has been around for. It's not like every single card in this package, like, but this shell of like Craven, Silk, Batroc, like Hydra Stomper, it's the mid-range points package that people always rely on when they need stats, right? It's a lot of stats, by the way.
When the power level is low and people are playing games where positioning matters, this has always been the best deck.
Yeah. This deck really emphasizes a lot on your positioning as well, and it has enough stats to keep up with in a certain amount of stats that's enough to keep up with combo decks as well, because it's really a lot for like a mid-range core, right? And then you fit in the rest of the tech, which just comes naturally depending on what the meta is, you know. So it's a very reliable thing that the game has right now. It's just that I feel like we it's very difficult to move away from this, isn't it, KM? Like this has been like
Yep.
the default for years. Like
Yep.
it's so difficult to move away from this because like anything outside of this sphere is like borderline just combo decks, right? It's already combo, you know. Everything outside of
This is as it is the archetypal mid-range deck.
Yes, it's the closest thing to non-combo that can compete. Like
it
yeah,
is.
so.
There are two things going for it. The first is, with the exception of Silk, who honestly worst card in the package, but like if we're real about that, that's a 2/5
enabler.
It's a 2/5 enabler. That's the worst card in the package. And then you look at like other decks, people are playing like, you know, actual bad cards like Martyr in order to get points, and you're just like, no, yes, right. Like that's the thing. It's not just that all the cards in it are ridiculous. Sam Wilson is unbelievable. Batroc makes Kraven even more unbelievable in concert with that stuff. You reposition all your stuff, you get this natural advantage there. Hydra Stomper is enormously large, right? Like all of these things add up, but the fundamental thing is it's 6 cards. It's infinitely flexible. Those 6 cards, and then whatever else you want to do. You want to play a Professor X deck with this stuff, you can do that. You want to play Eliath? You want to play Galactus First Steps? I don't care. You want to play 4 tech cards? Totally. You could do that too. You can do so much in this shell. That's the real key, is that those 6 cards alone are stronger than most decks. And then you just get the rest of the deck.
Exactly. I think that's a good way to put it, right? Those 6 cards have been stronger than complete 12 card decks for like a long time.
Yep. I also want to talk about Isca. Isca's a card that a lot of people have been very vocal about. This card's too strong, etc. I have been very vocal the opposite direction. I think Isca is a very fair card that is or at least in previous metagames has been mostly a fair card. But it's worth pointing out that, you know, we're finally in a metagame where a lot of the unfair stuff is gone. And so this could be a really big moment for Isca that like actually gets her to the place that I think she's been a good card, maybe even a great card, but I don't think she's been a busted card. And people talk about her like she is. But I want to talk about something that I actually love about Isca. This is something that I'd be sad to lose if the people that are talking about her like she's nerfable are correct. And that is Isca's dynamics of being a card that is good when you are behind is such a rare thing in Marvel Snap in the modern day. Marvel Snap was about that for a little bit. You know, you'd be behind and then you'd play a bunch of tech cards and then you'd be ahead. And they dealt with that in a million different ways. Isca's kind of the last remnant of a card that is good to play when behind, that because of who she is, can also scale into a play when ahead card. And I think that is a really, really fun, really interesting thing that she does that no other card really does. And I get that she's powerful, but she's powerful so contextually, and so much of what she does is on the board and you're aware of it, and there's all of this stuff that like playing with and against her is super compelling to me. I largely think that 4/3 is the closest to correct stat line for her. When I think about this card, I can't think of a better stat line for her, for what it's worth. I can't think of anything that would, like, if your argument is the 4/3 is too strong, maybe, but everything else is either too weak or too strong by a larger amount, is sort of where my head is at. And I think that we're finally entering a metagame where I will admit that it's possible she could end up being too strong. I don't think it was possible in a world where people were doing Star-Lord stuff for this card to be too strong. I just don't think it was possible for that to be a thing. I don't think it was possible in a world where people were doing Carter combo for this card to be too strong. But I do think it's possible now, and I really want to point that out. Like, I think we might be finally getting to the point where Isca is worthy of her reputation.
Yeah, no, I think this card being unique is... I mean, I think this card's really, really very unique. Like, I think it's quite literally the only card that... It's a catch-up mechanic, right?
Yes.
It's built in as a catch-up mechanic. Like, most decks, like, if you are, let's say... let's say you miss your turn 1 play or whatever, right? You're just behind, and then the only way you're actually effectively catching up is you play bigger stats. Like if you miss your 1, then you play a 2, your opponent played a 1 and a 2, you're still forever kind of behind unless they play some like understated guy or whatever. Like this card actually lets you like catch up. Like it's just built for you to catch up. So I think this is a very interesting mechanic that like no other card kind of has, right? Like the fact that it's better when you're initially losing and then it catches you up, or it's better in a location that's underdeveloped on your part and then it gets better over time and it forces your opponent to like respond and play accordingly. So yeah, the direction this guy has been I'm not say direction, sorry, but like this card's text has been really interesting for me. And like I don't know honestly if it's gonna be too strong now, because I get what you mean, right? Like it's
Yeah.
never been too strong. It's never been like 4-6, 4-12, that's really bad.
It's
like,
been
never
like
felt
a
that way.
good card, maybe a great card,
Yep.
but I don't think it's ever been a busted card, and it might be able to be now.
Okay.
Last up, a huge shout out to friend of the show, occasional fill-in for Lambie, BU++, my guy, but won the Spider Showdown. The finals was a matchup between him and Derek. He had the exact same deck that Derek was playing, except he cut 2 cards for Hulkling and Copycat, which, in my opinion, did give him an advantage in the 12-card mirror for what it's worth. But he is the co-host of my podcast, the KMBcast, which is on my KMBcast channel. It's usually linked in the description. I believe it will be in this. So if you want to catch a breakdown of the tournament from the perspective of the guy that won it, make sure you check it out there. There, down there. Yeah, there. I had to get in frame. It was difficult.
Yeah, congratulations, man. Like, wait, but did Bud play some Hulkling deck in the past as well?
Yeah,
I felt like this was...
yeah. In the one Derek won, he brought a... I helped him with this one. This is embarrassing for me.
One?
Yeah, it was Pixie Uncle Ben.
It was the Pixie one, right?
It was Pixie Uncle Ben. I was like, dude, you need to put Uncle Ben in here. And it was good. It worked. The one time we got Uncle Ben to be playable.
One time.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been KMBest. He's been Lambie Series, and he's going to take us out.
All right, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.